I never believed in second chances until the one that came wrapped in someone else's skin. Yesterday, I buried my old life in a shallow grave of forged documents and whispered alibis.
And today,
I'm wearing the face of the man who stole it from me. Call it karma or cosmic fuck you. But when I slipped into Victor Hale's body during that freak lab accident, I didn't hesitate. I drove straight to his mansion with a loaded Beretta and a heart full of borrowed rage. The air in the Hamptons was thick with salt and secrets that July evening, the kind of summer night where the elites sip rose on decks overlooking the Atlantic, pretending their fortunes aren't built on bones. Victor Hale was the king of that world, tech mogul, philanthropist facade, the guy whose apps tracked your every move while he preached privacy, writes on CNN. I'd been his shadow for 5 years, Harper Voss, the brilliant neuroscientist who coded the algorithms that made Hale Industries a trillion-dollar beast. I was the ghost in the machine, the one who stayed up nights debugging his empire while he took credit at galas, his arm around whichever model caught his eye that week. But Victor? He was more than a thief of ideas. He was a predator. 5 years ago, during a late-night demo of our neural interface prototype, Project Echo, the body swap simulator meant to revolutionize therapy for paralysis victims, he cornered me in the lab. One little test. Harper, he'd said, his breath hot against my neck, eyes gleaming like he owned more than the company. I said no. He didn't listen. The machine whirred to life under his override code. And suddenly, I was fighting for air in a simulation that blurred into reality. He forced the sync, a violation deeper than flesh, uploading fragments of his psyche into mine to borrow my genius without the mess of collaboration. It left me fractured, migraines that blacked out days, visions of his memories bleeding into my dreams, nights of cocaine-fueled boardroom conquests, affairs that ended in NDAs and quiet payouts to silence the broken. I covered for him. God, did I cover? When the first whistleblower, an intern who'd glimpsed the unethical logs, turned up dead in a suicide, I was the one who doctored the autopsy report. Victor's mess. My hands. He framed it as loyalty. But it was survival. He had dirt on everyone, including the detective who signed off on the case. That intern? My friend, Lena. She'd come to me weeks before, eyes wide, whispering about Victor's side hustle, selling Echo's tech to black market surgeons for illegal enhancements, body swaps for the ultra-rich evading justice, politicians dodging scandals by jumping into proxy lives. I'd told her to run. Instead, she trusted me to expose him. And I choked. Victor knew my weakness, my brother, drowning in med school debt back in Ohio, the one I'd clawed my way to the top for. One call from Victor, and the loans vanished. Or so he promised. Instead, he used it as a leash. By the time the SEC started sniffing around Hale Industries for insider trading, Victor's latest grift, dumping stock before a fabricated crash, I was in too deep. He pinned the leaks on me, planted code in my workstation that funneled funds to offshore accounts in my name. The feds raided at dawn, cuffing me in my Brooklyn walk-up while Victor watched from his helicopter, toasting with champagne. You were always too ambitious. Harper, he texted as they read me my rights. Trial was a circus, me, the disgraced wunderkind, versus his army of lawyers. I took the fall, 10 years in federal prison for fraud, my name synonymous with betrayal in tech circles. Victor emerged cleaner, richer, even launched a memoir, Echoes of Innovation, Rising Above the Noise.
bestseller.
Movie rights pending. Prison broke me in ways the swap never could. Sing Sing's walls echoed with stories of men like Victor, cops turned crooks, CEOs who skated on technicalities. I spent nights in the library, poring over quantum entanglement theories, piecing together how Echo's glitchy sync might reverse. Paroled after 7. I was a ghost, no job. No family, mom died while I was inside. Cancer, she hid to spare me. Just a dingy motel in Jersey, and a burner phone that never rang. That's when the invitation came, Victor's Rehabilitation Summit for ex-cons in tech. A PR stunt, but my ticket back in. I walked into that Hamptons lab like a lamb to slaughter, the prototype humming under sterilites. Victor greeted me with a shark smile. His new fiancée, some influencer named Britt, draped on his arm. Harper. Darling. Let's make amends. One final test for old time's sake. The machine looked the same. 2 pods. Neural helmets pulsing blue. I nodded. Palms slick. Heart slamming like a war drum. As the sync initiated, I triggered the override I'd buried in the code years ago, a recursive loop, designed to echo back. Pain ripped through me, synapses firing like fireworks in a blackout. Victor's scream cut short as our minds collided, essences swapping in a vortex of light and shadow. When the world reformed, I was staring at my own face, pale, tear-streaked, screaming in Victor's pod. But I was in his body, 6'2", broad-shouldered, the weight of his Rolex heavy on my wrist. His voice boomed from my throat as I laughed, a deep timbre that vibrated with unfamiliar power. Britt rushed to me, but I waved her off. Voice steady, it's fine. Just a glitch.
Inside.
Harper Voss was clawing for control. But the swap was total, his neurons mine now. My consciousness piloting his flesh. I left them there. Harper, dazed and compliant under the sedative I'd dosed into the pod. Victor's Mercedes purred to life under my hands, the dashboard GPS leading me to his estate. The gate swung open. Biometrics recognized his face. His prints. Inside. The mansion was a monument to excess, Warhol prints on walls. A wine cellar stocked with vintages older than my regrets. I poured a scotch, his favorite, peaty and sharp, and toasted the mirror. Hello, Victor, I said to his reflection. Miss me? The first act of revenge was simple. Access. Victor's phone unlocked with a glance, facial ID. The irony delicious. Emails flooded in. Board meetings. Mistress's nudes. A thread with a senator about burying an Echo-related lawsuit. I forwarded the juiciest to anonymous drops, WikiLeaks mirrors. Reddit's r/conspiracy. By morning, Hale Industries stock dipped 3%. Whispers of scandal rippling through CNBC. But that was appetizer. The main course?
Britt.
Victor's fiancée was no innocent. She'd been his accomplice. The one who lured Lena to that networking dinner before her death. I invited her to the master suite. Dim the lights. Let his charm, my borrowed charm, work its magic. As she melted into him, I whispered Lena's name, watching her eyes widen in the dark. What did we do? She breathed, terror cracking her Botox facade. I smiled Victor's smile. We fixed it. Or we will. She didn't sleep that night. I didn't either. Harper's memories warred with Victor's. Flashes of his childhood abuses fueling the fire. By dawn, Britt was packing, a ghost in silk pajamas, muttering about curses. I let her go, but not before slipping a USB into her purse, Echo's full schematics, tagged with her DNA from a shared wine glass. When the feds came knocking, leaks I'd orchestrated, she'd be the new face of the fraud. The boardroom at Hale Tower reeked of leather and desperation that Monday. The Manhattan skyline a smug backdrop to the chaos I'd sown. Victor's body moved like a well-oiled machine, confident strides. A nod to the receptionist that made her blush. But inside, I was Harper, the farm girl from Ohio who'd traded hay bales for algorithms, now puppeteering a monster. The directors filed in. Faces like thunderclouds, suits from Goldman. VCs with portfolios bleeding red. Victor, started Elena Vasquez, the CFO who'd always hated him. The leaks, it's sabotage. Stocks down 12%. We need damage control. I leaned back in his ergonomic throne. Fingers steepled, his habit. Not mine. Sabotage? Or karma? The room froze. I let the word hang, then chuckled. Low and disarming.
Kidding.
Obviously, Harper Voss's ghost is haunting us. But let's cut the bullshit. Project Echo was always the crown jewel. We accelerate rollout. Full transparency. Invite the press. Murmurs erupted. Elena's eyes narrowed. She knew Victor too well. Sense the shift. Transparency? You fought us on NDAs last quarter. I met her gaze, channeling his arrogance.
Times change.
Or, do you prefer bankruptcy? Votes swung my way. Fear's a hell of a motivator. By lunch, announcements blasted. Hale Industries pivoting to ethical AI. Echo demos for medical miracles. The stock rebounded 8%. Victor's empire. My chessboard. But revenge isn't a sprint. It's a slow bleed. That afternoon, I drove to Sing Sing, Irony's gift, under Victor's name. A philanthropy visit to the women's wing. The guards waved me through. Money greases more than wheels. In the visitation room, plastic chairs and plexiglass dividers. I sat across from Riley, my old cellmate. She'd done time for embezzlement, framed by a boss much like Victor, and we'd bonded over shared scars, her tattoos from juvie, my invisible ones from the swap. Harper. Her voice cracked through the speaker. Eyes searching my face, his face. I slid a photo across, me. Pre-prison. Arm in arm with Lena at a tech conference. Not anymore, I said. Voice modulator app on my phone pitching it higher for the cameras. Victor's wearing my skin. But I'm driving. You in. Riley's laugh was bitter. A blade wrapped in velvet. For Lena, I'd burn the world. She was my inside woman now, paroled 6 months ago. Scraping by as a barista in Yonkers. I wired her $50K from Victor's slush fund, enough for a PI firm and burner laptops. Her job, dig into Victor's vaults. The offshore shells I'd glimpsed in his memories. The ones hiding not just money, but bodies. Lena's suicide payout rerouted to a Cayman trust. Echoes of other silenced voices. Back in the city, controversy brewed. Protests erupted outside Hale Tower, activists decrying Echo as soul theft, signs reading Who Owns Your Mind? I'd seeded the fire, anonymous posts from Victor's accounts, confessions disguised as drunk tweets. The media ate it up. Tech titan Victor Hale's meltdown? Pundits on Fox called it a witch hunt. MSNBC dissected his privilege. I watched from his penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling glass framing the chaos. A glass of bourbon in hand. It tasted like victory. Sharp and oaken. But power corrupts. Even borrowed. That night, Britt called hysterical from a hotel in Miami. The feds are here. Victor, they have files, my files, with Echo blueprints. Harper's behind this. Isn't she? That bitch from the lab. I let her rage. Then purred consolation. Come home, baby. We'll fix it. She arrived at LaGuardia on a red eye. Eyes hollow. Makeup caked over bruises I'd given her in Victor's passion. Marks she'd never report. Not with her own skeletons. In the bedroom, silk sheets tangled like accusations. I confronted her. Tell me about Lena. Brit froze. Champagne flute trembling.
Who?
Victor's voice from my throat. Cold. Commanding. The intern. The one you wined and dined before she jumped. Tears welled, crocodile. I knew from his memories. It was an accident. She threatened to go public. Victor's side deals. I just gave her pills. To calm her. Victor cleaned it up. Confessions spilled like cheap wine. How they dosed Lena at dinner. Staged the overdose in her dorm. Brit's role? The distraction. The pretty face that lowered guards. My stomach churned, Harper's nausea in Victor's gut, but I held steady. And the others? 3 names tumbled out. A journalist. A regulator. A rival coder. Victor's trail of ghosts. I recorded it all, hidden mic in the Rolex. By morning, Brit was sedated again, grieving in the guest wing. The file went to Riley. Weaponize this. Within hours, indictments leaked, not Victor's, but Brit's. Fiancé of tech mogul charged in cold case murder. The twist? I pinned the originals on him, subtly altering metadata to link back to his servers. Public outcry swelled. Boycotts. Shareholder revolts. Victor's board demanded his head. I resigned for health reasons, cashing out $200 million in stock, enough to fund the real war. Controversy peaked at the gala. Hale Industries' redemption ball at the Met. Chandeliers dripping light on gowns and grudges. I arrived in Victor's tux, arm linked with a decoy date, a actress Riley hired, whispering lines like a script. Elena cornered me in the coat room, breath wine-soured. You're not him. What the hell is this? Sharp woman, she'd clocked the changes, the aversion to steak, my vegetarianism leaking through. The sudden empathy for the waitstaff. I could have silenced her. Victor's old tricks. A payoff or threat. Instead, I handed her a drive. Echo's kill switch. The code to dismantle it forever. Choose, I said. Empire or ethics. She chose wrong or right, depending on the light. By dessert, sirens wailed, feds swarmed. Elena at the helm, flipping for immunity. Victor Hale, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and intellectual property theft. Flashbulbs popped as they cuffed me. Him, the crowd a sea of gasps and iPhones. I went quietly, Victor's dignity intact. But inside, ecstasy. The perp walk streamed live, fall of the tech titan. Lena's family, watching from Ohio, would see justice served on a silver platter. But swaps cut both ways. In holding, as the neural feedback from Echo began to fray, synapses rebelling. Harper's essence eroding Victor's, I felt the pull. His memories surged, a boy beaten by a father who prized perfection. The first affair that tasted like escape. Pity flickered, unbidden. Was he the villain? Or the victim of his own cage?
No.
He chose the throne. And thrones demand blood. Rikers Island swallowed Victor's body whole. The clang of gates a requiem for the man I'd become. Cell block air hung heavy with bleach and broken dreams. Ironic. Me in orange scrubs tailored for a frame that didn't fit. Harper's claustrophobia clawing at Victor's broader lungs. The arraignment was theater, judges' gavel cracking like Judgment Day. Prosecutors unveiling the noose, Britt's testimony, Elena's ledgers, Riley's forensics tying Lena's death to Hale servers. Victor's lawyers squawked privilege. But the leak-eyed planted painted him as Satan in Silicon Valley. Bail denied. Flight risk,
they said.
I smiled through the bars, his smile. All teeth and no soul. Solitary was the real test. Days blurred into nights under fluorescent hum. Victor's mind fracturing mine. Dreams bled. His first kill. Not Lena, but a startup founder who'd challenged Echo's patents, pushed from a yacht, ruled accidental. Harper's guilt twisted it into my own hands, wet with salt water and regret. I scratched equations into the wall, reversal formulas, ways to yank my consciousness back before the swap destabilized, turning us both to vegetables. But revenge whispered louder. Finish it. Riley visited under false pretenses, a cousin from Cleveland, slipping me a smuggled phone. The board circling. Hale Industries is yours if you play nice. No, mine now. The empire I toppled to rebuild. I dictated moves, liquidate assets, funnel proceeds to victims' funds. Lena's mom got $10 million. Anonymous. With a note. For the daughter you raised right. Controversial? Hell yes, reparations from a tycoon's corpse. Blood money laundered as grace. Twitter exploded. Hale redemption or Victor scam. Pundits debated on podcasts, justice porn or performative allyship. The climax brewed in the showers. Steam shrouded like a confessional. Victor's old guard, a fixer named Marco, in for racketeering, cornered me, shank glinting under the spray. Boss says clean it up. You ain't him. Water pounded like accusations I dodged. Harper's wiry agility in his bulk. We grappled, fists to ribs. His snarl mine echoing off tiles. Tell Victor, I gasped. Knee to groin. Harper sends her regards. The shank clattered. Guards hauled him off. But not before I palmed a shard. Self-defense. They ruled. Marco?
Coma.
Victor's network crumbled. Dominoes of loyalty toppling. Parole hearing came swift, PR nightmare for the DA. I played broken. Tears in Victor's eyes. A monologue cribbed from his memoir about finding humility in chains. The board bought it. 3 months served. Out on good behavior. Stepping into daylight. Paparazzi frenzy. I hailed a cab to the lab. Hale tower gutted. Echo dismantled under court order. But Riley waited. Laptop glowing. The reversal code. Uploaded during my stint. Your call, she said. Stay king or go home. The decision tore me. Controversial as original sin. Victor's life was power, jets to Davos. Influence that bent laws. Harper's? A quiet cabin in the Adirondacks. Maybe teach coding to at-risk kids. A tone without the spotlight. But revenge demanded totality. I synced one last time. Pods cold and humming. Pain lanced. Essences unraveling like thread from a noose. Reality snapped back. I gasped in my own skin, scarred hands, familiar curves, while across the glass. Victor blinked in mine. Horror dawning.
What?
Harper. His voice, my voice, cracked. I ripped the 4. Grabbed the phone Riley'd left. Live stream engaged. Millions tuned in. The feed I teased as Hale's final confession. Tell them, I said. Voice raw. Mine again. Tell the world what you did. He resisted sobs. Denials, but the code I'd woven forced it. Neural prompts pulling truths like venom from a wound. Lena's murder spilled first. Then the yacht. the bribes, the swaps for senators evading trials. Viewers watched, transfixed, CNN cut in, alerts pinging globally. Victor's empire vaporized in real time, stocks cratered. Arrests rolled for accomplices. But the twist hit like a gut punch. As he confessed, fragments of his memories flooded back, not just crimes,
but the why.
Victor wasn't born monster. Echo's original test, years before me, swapped him with his dying sister, terminal cancer. Her plea to live for me. The machine glitched, trapping her essence in limbo. His guilt birthing the obsession. Lena? She discovered not just the black market, but the prototype logs, Victor's sister, digitized and suffering in the code. Killing her wasn't business. It was burying the mirror to his soul. I froze. Mike live. The world hearing my silence. Was he victim too? The boy who'd lost everything. Building an empire on stolen lives to outrun grief? Pity warred with rage. Controversial calculus. Forgive the unforgivable. Or let the blade fall. Cameras rolled as I leaned in, whispering, "Your sister's waiting."
Victor.
Say goodbye. I hit delete, the kill switch, erasing the trapped echoes. His sister free. At last. Victor, in my body, slumped, eyes glazing as the feedback loop consumed him.
Heart attack.
They ruled later.
Clean. Me?
I walked out Harper Voss. Free but fractured. The stream ending on my face, tear-streaked. Unrepentant. Epilogue months on. I testify before Congress. Echo banned. Hale's fortune seeding a foundation for whistleblower protections. Lena's mural blooms in Brooklyn, vibrant against the brownstones. But nights, I dream of Victor's eyes in mine, accusing, pleading. Justice? Or just another swap? Me wearing his darkness now. Readers argue in comments, hero or hypocrite, avenger or assassin. I sip coffee in my cabin, watching snow fall on pines, and smile. In America, truth's the ultimate controversy, slippery, subjective, and never quite buried. The end? Pick your poison, redemption's glow or tragedy's shadow. Me? I sleep sound, knowing I won. Or did I?